Hey, I'm AG. Welcome to this 10th DRT dive show that we're attending as UTD. And today I want to introduce to you a new product that we released about a month ago or whatever, but we've been working on this for a while. We call this the TEM. It stands for Team Exit Marker. Now, what this means is this: in the old days we used to carry a cookie or an arrow. The arrow, of course, points to the direction of your exit. And the cookie identifies which is your exit side, maybe, of this arrow. And there was a bunch of rules, and it got really confusing. Well, by going to TEM, we've actually really simplified this, and I'll explain this to you when we get into that section. Now, when you buy this kit, what's really cool about it is it comes with a pigtail. It's a bolt snap pigtail. It comes with as many of these TEMs as you want. But what we do is we laser etch them. We laser etch them with your name. We laser etch them with sequentializing. 0, 1, 2, 3. So yes, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However many you want. You want 30, we'll do 0 to 30. It doesn't matter. And then you put them on this pigtail, and now you're ready to use them while you cave diving. I'm going to show you how to cave dive. So this is the new product we released here. And with it, you can simplify your cave diving because you're going to follow one very simple rule. So forget all those other rules that you learned. If I run into this, I run into that, I do this, but if I do that, then I do this. Remember, your goal is to create as least impact to the main line. Least impact. I've got a main line set up here to show you. And remember, a lot of main line also has system arrows. So we want to do as least impact as we can to create confusion. We also don't want to create what we call blind tees. Blind tees are where other people who are already in the cave, all right, don't realize that you're putting markings on the line. So when they're exiting, you don't want them running into your marker and going, oh, what's this? I don't remember this team. And maybe getting confused. Remember, the last thing you want to do, come on over here, I'll show you. The last thing you want to do is take your arrow and go, well, my exit's that way. So put your arrow opposing the system arrow. It's the last thing you want to do. So obviously what they did is they came up with a cookie. And you put the cookie. But then the rules got all confusing because what happens if I want to do a jump? Then I have to have a cookie and an arrow. And the arrow has to be pointing this way and the cookie has to give me the direction. So now you're placing two markers, and things got really confusing, all these rules. So by going to TEM and following one simple rule, what you're able to do is you're able to create all the navigation in a cave. Navigation such as when I create a temporary tee. Now what's a temporary tee? When I intersect the line with my line, I've created a temporary tee. So another team may not know that I'm going to do that, so I have to create navigation for myself. That's why we call a team exit marker. It's for my team, nothing to do with them. Because if I place an arrow, that might confuse them. But if I place the TEM, it's mine, it's personalized to my team. That's why we call a team exit marker. All right. With that same rule, maybe I run into the permanent arrows and I have to do it. Maybe I run into T's, I'm going to show you that. Maybe I run into change of arrows. So this rule addresses all of it under one simple rule. All right, so let me show you how this is done. The rule goes like this. Always place your team exit marker on your team's exit side of any temporary tee, permanent tee, any change in the navigational arrows in the cave. All right? And if you sequentialize it, meaning 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, you'll actually be able to keep track of the sequence, knowing that at TEM 4, the arrows change direction. At TEM 5, at TEM 6, and so on. You can sequentialize in your mind where you are on your return. Now remember, all the other cave dive rules apply, right? Where, for example, you want to personally mark everything. You want to have your personal identification, your tactile. So this is, they come raw, you're still going to have to cut your tactile so you can feel this is yours, which will match your spool, which will match your reel, and blah, blah, blah. So you still do all of that, all right? But in this case, what we're going to do is we're just going to show you just a quick way to do this. Just give you some basics. Don't worry about this line is thick and you know, blah, blah, blah. It's not double wrapped and all that kind of stuff. All those same rules apply. You're still going to double wrap. You can see there's still a notch. You still double wrap. You still double wrap. I won't, because all of this stuff is plenty flimsy that I'm going to show you. So if I start pulling line and double wrapping, I'm going to rip this whole thing out. So let's not, you know, make some comment. Oh, you didn't double wrap. I know I didn't double wrap. So don't worry about that. All right, let's go take a look. So here I have my reel, and I'm actually gonna intersect the main line. So there's my main line. As you can see, most main lines, especially if they're set up correctly, will have the arrow at the end of the line pointing the direction of the exit. When you come in to intersect this line, what you're gonna find is you've created a temporary T, haven't you? Now, if I do it right here, I don't leave enough room for another team. So if another team comes in and they're going to put theirs there, and they're going to do that after I'm already in the cave, what's happened is they've created a blind T for me, haven't they? They've said, you know what? When I come back, I will feel their line and I'll go, whose line is this? I didn't see another team. That's called a blind T. So your goal should be to not create a blind team. So if I leave enough room for another team, that's enough room for another team, or two even. Now, if I'm the first team coming out, I will run into my reel first. The probability is much higher that I run into my reel first. And by running into my reel first, I won't have created myself a blind team. Now, I've dove a lot in Mexico and so forth, and people often don't care about those rules. But I started following this. It would make life so much better for everybody. I've gone in there before, people are tied right here. Well, now I have no choice but to make a blind tee for them, don't I? I don't have a choice. So unfortunately, that's the one problem. If we all followed this, if I did mine here, and the next guy did his here, and the next gal did hers here, and the next guy did his here, and the next gal did hers there. Yes, there's been 9 teams in a cave before, but we have enough space for all those teams if we all followed the rules. Now, of course, again, please don't get all worked up that it's not double, triple wrapped and one side this way and one side that way and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to just do it as best as I can. But notice that I wrapped it around the main line, and then I used my bolt snap, okay? And I used my bolt snap and I double wrapped my bolt snap, blah, blah, blah. I know you guys are all going to make comments about, hey, that used to be double wrapped and blah, blah, blah. I agree, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff, I agree. Check it out. All right, there's good. Now I've created my first blind, or my first tee. It's a temporary tee. It's not a blind tee yet because another team isn't in there. It's a temporary tee. Now I want to mark that. So I'm going to use my first tem. And I sequentialize, so I use 0. And I put my 0 tem down. And again, I've told you already, but I'm going to do it just to show you. You double wrap it. I'm doing it just to show you, but I won't the rest. So you double wrap it. That's my tem. It's got my tactile on it. It's my reel, my tactile. So it's all easy for me to find my stuff when I'm exiting in no viz. That's the first that I've done. But notice the rule, follow the rule. Leave enough room for another team. Let's go on and talk about the jump. So I'm following the line, I run into a jump. Typically, jumps should be marked with a double arrow. I've seen them marked with 1 arrow before, of course. And of course, I've seen them not even marked, of course. So, you know, you see all every kind. But let's just pretend this cave is perfect. Now again, what do I need to create a jump? I need my jump spool. That's a jump spool. I need my Thames. Again, my Thames are marked number 1. So I knew number 0 was back there, so now I'm going to do my jump. The rule is leave enough room for another team. Because if I put my jump right here, right? So if I put my Thames right here, my jump, then the next team will put theirs there, and the next team will put theirs there. The problem is, when I'm coming back, I will run into theirs, and I won't have realized. If I leave enough room, so if I come along like this, and I say, hey, let me leave enough room for another team, or 2. Guess what? The next team's going to put theirs there, or maybe on the jump, or maybe in the middle, or maybe past. Doesn't matter. Wherever they put theirs here, when I'm coming back, I will never feel theirs. That's the secret. That's how I make myself, or make the ability not to feel their temp, not to create myself a blind T. Notice how I used my temp. So now, when I'm following my line back, I get to my temp, I feel my temp, yep, that's mine, tactile, and I can keep going. What's that? What's that? Yes, again, this is always for no-viz. Again, we're setting this up for no-viz. So in no-viz, I'm following my line, I get back here, I feel my tactile, and I keep going in a no-viz situation. 100% agree. Now, notice that if another team comes along, and they put theirs here, I won't feel theirs. If they put theirs here, I won't feel theirs. I'll only feel theirs if I put it here. Okay? So we don't want to do that. All right. So now, let's keep on going. We're cruising along, we're swimming along, and we find a permanent T in the cave. This is an example of a permanent T. Now, permanent T is different, because what a permanent T means is that my exit side of the permanent T is this side. It's not really marked. Maybe, sometimes the system will mark it. Sometimes. But guess what? Here's my problem. If this side is closer, then the system will mark it like that. Remember, the rule of thumb in cave diving is that the system arrows mark the closest exit. They may not be your exit. There may be a side mount, little tight exit. You might have come in from that side, big, easy exit. But it's further away. So most of the rules are the arrow points to the closest exit. So you arrive here, you're like, oh, I've got to mark my side. Remember, it's my side of the exit, my team side of the exit. So now I'm going to use my temp. All right, remember this is sequentialized, so now I can remember, hey, my number 2 temp, I marked. Now the rule also says, leave enough room for another team. I've left enough room. But here's the gig. It doesn't really matter, does it? Because if another team comes in and puts their temp there, yes, I'm gonna feel it, but I don't have a choice. Even if I put my temp very close to the junction, and another team puts their temp there, I'm still gonna feel their temp. So the point is to keep consistency, to keep it easy rule to remember. We always leave enough room for another team. It just makes it easy, makes it consistent, keeps it real simple. I love one rule. No, but here I do this, but here I do that, but over here, no, too much to think about underwater. I like it simple. Leave enough room. So now I've marked my exit side. Now, obviously, guys, don't leave enough room that when you're following this back in the dark, you can't feel your temp. I don't mean leave enough room. I mean, be reasonable. Leave enough room for another team. So when I get back to the deer, I feel the arrow, I feel my temp, up, that's my way, and off I go. That's what I mean. Be reasonable. This far is enough room. All right? We keep on going. Wow, that's called a change of arrows. When the arrows change, remember, what this is saying, you're at the midpoint of the line. That way is closer home, and that way is closer home. So when I'm past that, I'm now opposing the system arrows. And this is very important to understand because now, when I'm on this side, wow, that arrow is going to really confuse me. Now, I really need temps. So what I do is I place my first temp again on the systems, on the exit side, my exit side, but I leave enough room for another team. Again, not ridiculous amounts of room, just enough room for one other team. Now we keep going. Now sequentialize. So remember, that's number 3. So when I run into another arrow, I do number 4. Notice The TEMs are set up that you can feel your exit side. That's why it's personalized. The thicker side points to your exit and does not oppose the system arrow. Very important, not opposing system arrow. Okay, so I keep doing that. Now I run into a jump on this side. I'm like, oh, okay, I've got a jump here. So the rule is always place your TEMs on your exit side, leaving enough room for another team. Your exit side, enough room for another team. Real simple rule. You're going to tie in. Again, please no comments about, hey, but he didn't do this and he didn't do a double wrap and he didn't do that. This is just for demonstration, right? Notice how you tie to your TEM. Okay? And now you're going to go make your jump. Now, obviously, as you're making your jump, you're going to end up at your jump line. Now, those jump lines at the very end where they're tied in is, again, there's a system arrow. So again, you're going to follow the exact same rules as you would for a primary line. When you intersect the line, you're going to feel the tension, blah, 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 all that stuff that you're learning in your cave class. I'm not here to teach you cave class, but what I am here to show you is that you leave enough room for another team. So when I arrive, I'm going to take my primary, I'm going to go once, I'm going to go twice, I'm going to come back here, I'm going to go once, I'm going to go twice, I'm going to go once, I'm going to go twice, blah, 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 all the stuff that you learn. And then I'm going to put my TEM. And again, my TEM references my team getting home, and it's sequentialized. If I do this correctly and I've left enough room, imagine another team. Let me grab one more spool. Anybody got a spool here handy for me? Anybody got a spool? Imagine another team comes. What that team will do is they might come here to the main line, do their jump there using the system arrow, or having enough room for theirs, do their jump, and then ultimately creating their jump there. Now, when you're coming back in the dark, no visibility, you're following, you never run into theirs. You feel yours, you feel your TEM, you come up, you feel yours, you feel your TEM, boom, on your way home you go. So you never actually, at any point, do you run into theirs. So by you leaving enough room, you're actually giving yourself the best chance of not having what we call a blind tee in the cave. So, again, to kind of give you just the last and final thing, these are called TEMs, team exit marker. They sequentialize, so you can sequentialize your dive, you can remember your dive. Most importantly, when you lay them on in the cave, you want to always lay them, leaving enough room for another team. You always want to lay them on your team's exit side of the markers, or of the temporary exit, of the temporary tee, or of the permanent tee, or any change in arrows, or any jumps or tees that you create. That's a temporary tee, isn't it? You created it. That pretty much wraps up this little vlog. That's a long one. I know you guys probably learned a lot. If you have any questions, make sure to email us at info@utdscubadiving.com. For more information on buying TEMs, you can go to utdscubaequipment.com. You can see them and buy them and so forth like that. Other than that, guys, safe diving.